Ladies and gentlemen, football fans, and those of you who still think Manchester United is a big club, welcome. Today we're talking about the blockbuster January transfer that nobody saw coming. Marcus Rashford is officially Aston Villa's newest star. And he says, and I quote, "I just want to play football now." Translation? I'd like to formally apologize to my bed, my social life, and every nightclub in Manchester. Football is my new priority now. So how did a player who was once one of the best in the Premier League end up leaving Old Trafford faster than a United manager? Is Villa getting a superstar on the cheap, or are they basically taking in a luxury model with an engine problem? Let's break it all down. 1. Rashford, from superstar to football's lost boy. Marcus Rashford. A player who once had defenses trembling, fans dreaming, and politicians panicking every time he logged onto Twitter. The guy who carried Manchester United on his back for seasons, and then, somewhere along the way, dropped them like an expired supermarket coupon. A man who at his peak made Champions League nights magical. Rashford, no, it's a steal. And yet somehow managed to look like a lost tourist in Manchester United's tactical system last season. Rashford's story at United went from boy wonder to boy, I wonder what happened. Remember when Rashford burst onto the scene, making defenders look like they were auditioning for a dance-off they didn't prepare for? Fast forward a few seasons and it's like he's forgotten the choreography. At his best, he's an elite forward. At his worst, he's a guy you'd swear was playing with a FIFA controller that has a broken sprint button. One moment, Rashford's leaving defenders in the dust with blistering pace. The next, he's moving slower than a dial-up internet connection, making fans wonder if someone swapped his boots for concrete blocks. His career trajectory resembles a roller coaster designed by a toddler. Unexpected highs, followed by stomach-churning drops. From scoring crucial goals in Champions League nights to being benched for oversleeping team meetings, Rashford's career has had more ups and downs than a seesaw in a playground. Off the pitch, he's a hero. On the pitch lately, it's been more Where's Waldo? While Rashford's commendable off-field initiatives have earned him accolades, his recent on-field performances have left fans scanning the pitch, trying to spot the once dynamic forward. He's gone from being United's golden boy to the guy they'd loan out faster than you can say transfer window. Once the poster child for Manchester United's future, Rashford now finds himself shipped off to Aston Villa on loan, a move that has fans scratching their heads and checking their calendars to see if it's April Fool's Day. 2. Why Villa? Is Rashford running away or running towards? So now he's at Aston Villa, a club that is currently better than Manchester United in almost every way. Higher in the table, better manager, better squad cohesion, and they actually know what they're doing in the transfer market. No offense, United. Okay, maybe a little offense. But here's the thing. Rashford isn't just here to enjoy the brummy weather, as if that's possible. Villa need a competitive edge, and signing Rashford could be either a genius masterstroke or the football equivalent of buying a sports car that may or may not start every morning. Villa fans should be excited. They're getting a Rashford with a chip on his shoulder. And not just a late-night kebab chip, but a proper, I have a point to prove chip. You know how some players move to a club and say, I'm here to win trophies? Rashford just said, I'm here to play football, which sounds dangerously close to saying, I forgot how to do that at United. This isn't a casual move. It's a chance to reboot his career. Think of it as Rashford hitting Ctrl+Alt+Delete on his Manchester United experience. He's not just here for a fresh start. He's here because he needs to show he's still that guy. You don't leave Manchester United just to vibe. You leave because you have unfinished business with football itself. Villa's strategy here is simple. Sign Rashford, hope he forgets his Manchester United form, and remind him that football still exists outside of Twitter beefs and free school meals. Rashford's legacy at United was slowly shifting from Premier League superstar to guy who cooked the UK government harder than he cooked defenders. Great off the pitch, but Villa need him to remember what scoring goals feels like. Aston Villa are hoping they get the Rashford from 2022-23, not the one who spent most of the time looking like he was forced to play football against his will. Think of it like a car with a powerful engine that's been stuck in traffic for years. Villa just need to open up the road and see if Rashford can still go from 0 to 60 like he used to. Villa is actually better than Manchester United right now. Higher in the table, better manager, and they actually know what they're doing in the transfer market. No offense, United. Okay, maybe a little offense. If you told Rashford in 2019 that in 2024 he'd be leaving United for Aston Villa in search of Champions League football, he probably would have called you delusional. But here we are. Villa's got the better manager, a more coherent tactical plan, and a squad that isn't built like a jigsaw puzzle missing half the pieces. If Manchester United are a blockbuster movie that keeps getting terrible sequels, Aston Villa are that underrated indie film that suddenly gets nominated for an Oscar. Is Rashford running away from United's chaos or running towards Villa's ambition? The answer is probably a bit of both. Let's be honest. He was never going to survive at United with the way things were going. Whether it was tactical disagreements, off-the-field issues, or just straight-up bad vibes, something had to give. At the same time, Rashford is choosing Villa, and that's important. He didn't just get thrown out. He's taking a calculated gamble that this is the place where he can get back to his best. Maybe he's running away. Maybe he's running towards something better. Or maybe he's just running because he forgot what tracking back felt like. 3. Rashford versus Amorim. The drama that started it all. Now let's talk about Rashford's breakup with Manchester United. Apparently it all started when United's new boss, Ruben Amorim, confronted Rashford about a mysterious Friday night out in Manchester before a big game. Rashford said it never happened. 3 days later, boom, benched against Arsenal. That moment started a downward spiral where Rashford made just one start in the Europa League before being sent to football purgatory, the United bench. And considering United were getting battered weekly, that's like being the guy who got kicked out of a burning building. Amorim. Marcus, were you out on Friday night? Rashford. No, boss, I was asleep by 9 p.m., drinking chamomile tea and watching TED Talks. Ah yes, the classic deny till you die strategy. Rashford swears he wasn't out, but next thing you know, Amorim is side-eyeing him like a strict Nigerian dad catching you sneaking in past curfew. Did Amorim have actual evidence? We may never know. But managers these days seem to have MI6-level surveillance on their players. Somewhere in Manchester, there's probably CCTV footage of Rashford ordering a drink, and Amorim has it in 4K resolution. Of course, Rashford's official response was, "Nah, boss, that wasn't me." This is the footballing equivalent of, "I swear I didn't eat the last slice of pizza," while having crumbs all over your face. Benching your most talented forward because he might have been at a bar, Ruben Amorim really said, "I am the law." Football managers have power, but Amorim took it to another level. He's basically treating the United dressing room like a military camp. One wrong move and you're off to exile. Amorim doesn't believe in suspicions. If he even thinks you are out past bedtime, you're done. Rashford probably thought he'd get a slap on the wrist. Instead, Amorim hit him with the footballing version of "pack your bags." That moment started a downward spiral where Rashford made just one start in the Europa League before being sent to football purgatory, the United bench. And considering United were getting battered weekly, that's like being the guy who got kicked out of a burning building. Imagine your team is losing 2-0 early in the game, and you're still benched. At that point, even Rashford must have been looking at Amorim like, "Bro, really?" United were so bad at times that even the fans started questioning Amorim's decisions. Why isn't Rashford playing? Amorim. Discipline. Meanwhile, United are getting cooked by Brentford. Rashford probably sat on that bench thinking, "So I'm good enough to score 2 goals against Everton, but now I'm not even good enough for a late-game cameo." United were down 2-0 from the 19th minute, but Rashford, he remained in the dugout rather than on the pitch. You know you're in trouble when your team is getting hammered, and your manager would rather stare at the bench than send you on. Amorim was so committed to proving a point that he kept his most talented forward out while United desperately needed goals. That's like refusing to use your umbrella in a storm just because you're mad at the weather. Rashford must have been thinking, "Bro, at this point, even Sancho got sent on at Dortmund." Is this tough love, or just Amorim setting an example? Either way, Rashford got the message loud and clear. Elaboration. Amorim was basically saying, play by my rules or don't play at all. That's great if you're running a well-oiled machine. But at United, let's be honest, the whole club is a circus tent that caught fire years ago. For Rashford, this was the harshest reality check of his career. His United dream wasn't just fading, it was practically over before he even had a chance to respond. And now? Well, he's off to Aston Villa, where he can either prove Amorim wrong, or prove that maybe, just maybe, Amorim had a point. 4. The Villa gamble. High risk, high reward. Now, here's why Aston Villa fans should be cautiously optimistic. Rashford is coming in as a loan deal, meaning if this goes wrong, they can simply return him like an unwanted Christmas sweater. Plus, Villa is only paying 75% of his wages, though that could rise to 90% if he starts playing like, an actual footballer. If Rashford flops, no problem. If he finds his form, Villa might just have pulled off the steal of the season. It's like going to the thrift store and finding a designer jacket for half price. Villa basically said, let's roll the dice on Rashford and see if we get prime Mbappe or lukewarm Martial. You never know what version of Rashford you're going to get. Some days, he plays like a Ballon d'Or candidate. Other days, he plays like he's buffering in real life. Aston Villa are either getting a world-class forward hungry to prove himself, or they're getting a guy who might disappear mid-game like a magician's assistant. It's the footballing equivalent of buying a used Ferrari. Sure, it looks great, but you don't know if it's going to start every morning. Worst case, he rides the bench and gets replaced by someone who actually listens to Unai Emery. Look, Unai Emery doesn't do luxury players. If Rashford isn't pressing or following instructions, he'll be warming the bench faster than a cup of instant noodles. Villa are not Manchester United. There's no special treatment here. If he doesn't fit into Emery's system, he'll be watching games from the sidelines like a season ticket holder. Emery once dropped Neymar for not working hard enough at PSG, so Rashford better not think his name alone will guarantee him starts. If Rashford flops, no problem. If he finds his form, Villa might just have pulled off the steal of the season. It's like going to the thrift store and finding a designer jacket for half price. This is a low-risk, high-reward deal for Villa. They're not even paying full price for Rashford's wages, so even if it doesn't work out, it's not a financial disaster. If Rashford starts banging in goals, Villa suddenly have a superstar for a fraction of what other clubs would have paid. It's like finding a Rolex at a garage sale. You don't know if it's legit, but if it is, you've hit the jackpot. Aston Villa are hoping they get the Rashford from 2022-23, not the one who spent most of the time looking like he was forced to play football against his will. Let's be honest, Rashford last season played like he was serving a prison sentence at United. Zero enthusiasm, zero confidence, and zero urgency. Villa need the version of Rashford who was ripping teams apart, not the one who looked like he was contemplating retirement at 26. If Rashford brings his best version, Villa's attack is instantly more dangerous. If not, well, at least he gets a nice fresh start in Birmingham. Villa's strategy here is clear. Take advantage of United's dysfunction and hope Rashford's talent outweighs his inconsistencies. Manchester United have become the buy one, get one free section of European football. If you're smart, you can take advantage of their mismanagement. Villa are getting a player United once valued at over £100 million for a cut-price loan deal. That's like getting a Lamborghini for the price of a second-hand Toyota. Rashford just needs to show up, work hard, and deliver. If he does that, Villa will look like geniuses. If not, well, at least they didn't commit to him permanently. 5. Rashford's role at Villa a perfect fit. So where does Rashford actually fit in at Villa? Well, he's likely to play on the left, linking up with Ollie Watkins and Leon Bailey. That's a terrifying attacking trio, on paper at least. In reality, it depends on which version of Rashford shows up. Historically, his best seasons have come when he's had an overlapping left-back, which means Lucas Digne will play a massive role in making sure Rashford actually looks like a threat. The good news? Villa plays structured, disciplined football, something Rashford has needed for years. Rashford at Villa is like giving a lost hiker a GPS. It might just get him back on track. The last 2 seasons at Manchester United felt like Rashford was wandering through a footballing wilderness, occasionally stumbling upon a goal before getting lost again. Aston Villa, with their structured system and tactical clarity under Unai Emery, could be the perfect place for him to find his way. If he follows Emery's instructions, he could thrive. If he ignores them, well, the bench is always available. Unai Emery has a reputation for reviving careers. If he can't fix Rashford, then maybe we all just need to accept that 2022-23 was a fever dream. Emery has turned Villa into a well-oiled machine, taking players like Ollie Watkins and turning them into genuine threats. If Rashford can't succeed under him, where else is he going to work? This is the same coach who made Villarreal punch above their weight and win a Europa League. If he can handle that, surely he can handle Rashford. But if Rashford keeps jogging around like he's in a charity match, Emery won't hesitate to drop him like a bad Wi-Fi connection. Historically, Rashford's best seasons have come when he's had an overlapping left-back, which means Lucas Digne will play a massive role in making sure Rashford actually looks like a threat. Every great Rashford season has had a supporting act, whether it was Luke Shaw overlapping or Bruno Fernandes threading passes. If Lucas Digne can provide those overlapping runs and keep defenders occupied, Rashford could have the space to cut inside and do what he does best, curl one into the top corner. But if Rashford isn't making the right runs, well, Digne might just start ignoring him altogether and go full "I'll-do-it-myself" mode. Villa's attack with Rashford on the left, Ollie Watkins in the middle, and Leon Bailey on the right? That's a scary front three, on paper at least. If Rashford rediscovers his form, this could be one of the most dangerous attacks in the Premier League. But let's be real, on paper doesn't mean much if Rashford spends half the game walking. If he clicks with Watkins and Bailey, Villa could be a nightmare for defenders. If not, well, at least they still have the Watkins-Bailey duo to fall back on. The key is movement. If Rashford is active and engaged, this front three could cook. If he's standing around waiting for the ball, Villa fans might start reminiscing about Jack Grealish instead. He also provides versatility. He can play through the middle if Watkins is unavailable or needs a rest. That's one of the biggest reasons Villa wanted him. Aston Villa aren't just looking at Rashford as a left winger. They see him as someone who can step into the striker role if needed. That sounds great in theory, but in practice? Rashford playing up front sometimes looks like a guy who just realized he left the stove on at home. Lots of running, little end product. But if Emery can coach him properly in that role, Villa might have just gotten themselves a valuable attacking asset. If Rashford plays to his strengths and follows instructions, he could be the missing piece in Villa's attack. If he doesn't, well, Villa's bench has room. Elaboration. Emery isn't the type of manager to babysit players. If Rashford wants to play every week, he'll have to earn it. Villa's system is built on tactical discipline and hard work. There's no room for passengers. Rashford has all the talent in the world, but this time, it's not about talent. It's about effort, consistency, and proving he still belongs at the top level. 6. Rashford's United exit, the conspiracy theories. Now, let's address the wild theories floating around about why Rashford left. Some say it's all part of Manchester United's grand scheme to save money. Rashford is an academy player, meaning selling him would be pure profit. Since he's the highest earner at the club, pushing him out resets the wage structure. Is this true? Who knows? But given United's track record, I wouldn't be surprised if they sell their own players just to afford a new washing machine at Carrington. Some people think this is all part of a Glazers 5D chess move. But let's be honest, the Glazers barely know how to play checkers. The idea that United have some grandmaster-level plan to improve their finances by offloading Rashford is hilarious. This is the same club that paid £85 million for Antony and thought it was a good idea. Let's be real. If the Glazers were actually playing 5D chess, United wouldn't be getting outclassed by Brentford on a weekly basis. This is less strategic financial restructuring and more sell the guy who's expensive and hope nobody notices. Rashford leaving United is like a kid switching schools. He might actually start doing his homework now. Sometimes, all a player needs is a change of scenery. At United, Rashford looked checked out like a student who already knows they're failing the semester. Now, at Villa, he has a chance to be the new kid in class, sit at the front, and actually start paying attention to the lessons. Or, he could skip class again and end up on the bench. The choice is his. The idea that United are offloading Rashford purely for financial reasons sounds like a smart business move, which means it probably isn't true. United are not exactly known for their financial genius. If they were, they wouldn't be spending over £500 million on players only to finish outside the top four. If getting Rashford off the wage bill was the goal, you'd think they'd have also found a way to offload Anthony Martial, who's been on the payroll since the Obama administration. But no, instead of fixing their wage structure properly, they're just hoping Villa take Rashford permanently so they can pretend this was all part of the plan. Rashford's wages are massive, but so is United's incompetence. Cutting costs doesn't mean success. If it did, Everton would be winning titles. Yes, Rashford was United's highest-paid player, but guess what? United's wage bill is bloated beyond belief. Getting rid of Rashford doesn't fix that. It just means someone else is now the most overpaid player at the club. Everton have been cutting costs for years, and where has it gotten them? A front-row seat to the relegation battle. If United thinks selling Rashford will magically fix their problems, they're about to be very disappointed. Selling Rashford could be part of a grand reset for United, or just another chapter in their long book of what are we even doing. This wouldn't be the first time United let go of a player, only for that player to immediately thrive somewhere else. Look at Jadon Sancho at Dortmund. He left, and suddenly he's playing like himself again. If Rashford starts scoring for fun at Villa, United fans will be asking serious questions about what's really going on at their club. This could be the start of a brilliant plan for United, or just another example of them moving players without fixing the real issues. Some conspiracy theories say Rashford was pushed out because he didn't fit the new regime. Others say he just stopped caring. The truth? Probably somewhere in the middle. Did Amorim freeze Rashford out because he didn't fit the new tactical vision? Maybe. Did Rashford mentally check out because he was sick of United's chaos? Also possible. At the end of the day, the move to Villa makes sense for both parties. United get to cut some wages, and Rashford gets a fresh start. Whether he actually takes advantage of it is another story. If Rashford succeeds at Villa, the conspiracy theorists will say United made a massive mistake. If he fails, well, Twitter will have a field day. If Rashford starts lighting it up at Villa, expect United fans to flood social media with "we should have never let him go" tweets. If he struggles, Twitter will be flooded with memes of him looking confused, and people will be saying he peaked in 2022. Either way, football Twitter wins, and Rashford's career remains a fascinating roller coaster. Closing thoughts. Rashford's next chapter. So, what do we make of all this? Rashford has superstar talent, but at United he was stuck in a team that was going nowhere fast. Now he has a second chance at a club that wants him, with a manager who believes in him, and in a system that fits his strengths. But make no mistake, this is Rashford's last big chance to prove he's still the guy we all thought he was. If he flops at Villa, he might just be the next Jadon Sancho, hopping from club to club trying to reclaim his lost form. So what do you think? Is Rashford about to revive his career at Villa, or is this just another chapter in the long book of what could have been? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more football banter. Until next time, stay sharp and remember, never go drinking 48 hours before a game.